Welcome to Strength Series with Jay. This show is about one thing, getting you strong. So join me as I lead you through 12 progressive workouts that will have you overcoming the impossible in no time. Thanks for joining us once again on Strength Series with Jay. Congrats on making it to the halfway point. Today, we're gonna move away from your squat and we're gonna start building your deadlift and working you towards doing kettlebell swings and chin-ups. So, Lori's gonna grab this kettlebell here, and what she's gonna do is something called a Romanian deadlift. I'll give you that. Now, different to the squat, we're gonna pretend she has no knee joints, no ankle joints really, and we're gonna really focus on developing that hip strength and power while stabilizing through your torso. The thing with the Romanian deadlift is, it's over the second your hips can no longer go any further back. This will make sense once Lori starts. So what Lori's doing here is driving her leg bones way into the back of her hips, digging her heels midfoot in, squeezing her glutes to come up. This will be different for everyone, but you want to reach back as far as you can and make sure there is no movement through your torso as you're doing it. For this exercise, we're going to do 4 sets of 8. And a few things to note that Lori's doing is she's not allowing her chin to protrude way forward and look forward. She's keeping a flat back, not overarched and not bending through her back. And she's keeping her knees relatively straight. You just want to have soft knees. Nice, Lori, so let's do 8 of those. Good work. So some quick things, we're gonna spend some time making sure you master this movement. Some quick things to make sure you're not doing. When you're moving, your spine should be perfectly straight. So I like to do some practice rounds where I touch my lower ribs, keep my fingertips on my pelvis, and make sure when I go forward and back, there is no increased distance or decreased distance as I'm doing that. If I am, I know I'm rounding and moving through my back to pick up the weight. And if I'm increasing, I know I'm disconnecting my core, I'm resting on my back joints, and then I'm moving this way. So neither is very good. So once you've done a few practice rounds of this, and you know your spine is not what's moving, it's your hips that are moving, the other things to make sure is that this kettlebell stays as close to your body as possible. I'm trying to drive it towards my heels, and that way I don't have a big lever arm on my low back. And then the last thing to make sure is as I'm going forward and back, for this exercise, I'm not tempted to go further by just stretching my hamstrings and carrying down. I want to think of loading my hips up, and once I can't load my hips up anymore, that's it. So in between those drills, you're going to take a couple minutes rest, but we're still going to do our mobility. So you're going to sit cross-legged. I'm going to get your dowel. And we're going to do something called cross-legged shoulder flexion. So from here, what Lori's going to do is a big exhale, reach up as high as she can, open up her chest, upper back, inhale to come down. So you're going to do this 8 times. You can see Lori is straight up and down. She's not cheating it by driving her head forward. Good. You got one more and then we'll show your back. Nice. Let's go other way. So being in this cross-legged position just kind of ensures you don't arch your lower back. But as you can see from the back here, just move that, is you want to have good upward rotation of the shoulder blades. Think of either pinching the tops of your shoulder blades together or driving these little wings out as far as you can, or think of driving them up to the ceiling, whatever gets you that really good extension. You're going to hold for a second as you do a full exhale, head's not moving. Let's do one more. Nice. Perfect. So a bad way to do it is if you grab it this way and you're wanting to get further, you'll see a lot of people will jet their head forward or they'll let their shoulder roll forward. So they'll be in this position, which feels like they're very mobile, but very unstable. So think of pushing, shrugging, whatever gets you into that nice overhead position, head on straight, and then only go as far as you can after that. So again, she's gonna do 8 there, and let's just go over those Romanian deadlifts again. And we'll imagine that this is her 4th time here, and she's just gonna perfect that hinge pattern. This is gonna be really important later when we're doing kettlebell swings. We wanna be building stability, endurance of her torso, and strength endurance and power endurance of all her hips. So glutes and hamstrings. You can see that she's got that kettlebell very close to her body. Nice. Okay, moving on. We're gonna go to the rings. We're gonna do our upper body work. So hop onto the rings. These rings need to be set up so you can just barely reach them. And from here, what we're gonna work on doing is, it's gonna be intro to supporting your own body weight, and it's gonna make sure you have the strength and stability in your shoulders to start doing chin-ups. So from here, she's just going to hang, tighten up everything. So from grip to belly to glutes to quads. And this is a small motion. She's just gonna tuck her shoulder blades down, getting as high as she can on the rings, controlling herself back down for 8 reps. So as you can see here, it's a pretty small motion. Make sure you're not leaning forward to cheat it again or arching your way forward. And on the way down, you can see she's very controlled. Like, she's lowering herself and she's not coming to a dead hang. She's coming down under her own control, supporting herself before coming back up. So Lori's gonna do a set of 8. Good. Staying connected through her torso. Everything tight. Nice job. Okay, and then take a minute rest before moving on to a yoga push-up. So with a yoga push-up, we're gonna work through, you can take 1 second actually, we're gonna work through full range of motion of your shoulder blades. So we're gonna get retraction as you pull them together to do the push-up, protraction as you get to the top, and then the same thing we did with that dowel, we're gonna work on elevating and upwardly rotating your shoulder blades. So let's set up for the push-up. We'll do this a bit exaggeratingly slow. So you're gonna come down controlled, shoulder blades go together, she stays tight and connected, back up, shoulder blades go apart, and then down into this A-frame position. You can see this is very similar to the position we've been working on, and we're gonna repeat. So she's just controlling her alignment through space, developing good strength as she completes the push-up. And at the very top here, there's a subtle shrug. Control yourself back down. Nice job. So we're gonna do 3 sets of 8. You're gonna do 8 here, 8 there. Take a minute between each exercise, and when you've completed them 3 times, we're gonna move on. Nice, Lori. Good. Okay, next drill. We're gonna start working on single leg strength. We're gonna do that through something called a Cossack squat. You can hold a little bit of weight as a counterweight. I like to use 8 to 10 pounds, not too much, or you can also use body weight. So she's gonna hold this out in front of her. This counterweight's just gonna keep her upright. Then you're gonna take a wide stance. You might not get this stance right away. Once you start, you'll have to fidget a bit. What she's gonna do is lower herself onto one leg, use that as a counterweight, come back up. Some things to note here is her toes are coming off the ground, which is totally fine. She's not gonna keep that foot planted flat. She's getting to at least parallel on that other leg. And she's gonna do 8 per side. Nice. So you wanna think that this is working up to doing single leg squats. So whatever leg you're squatting in is doing all the work, and that's just a little lever to keep you balanced so you don't need to stabilize, but it's barely doing anything. The other thing is there's gonna be a tendency, if I show you from the side, when you come up, there'll be a tendency to basically drive off the ball of your foot. So you don't wanna come down to here and then fake this range of motion and come up. Be firmly planted and make sure you move through all your joints the same way you would in your squat. What do you got, Lori? Perfect. Okay, in between, take a 30-second rest. We're gonna work on some core and hip stability with some shoulder mobility. So Lori's gonna be in the half kneeling position. So that's just a 1 knee down position. What you're gonna do is you need to find a stance that's slightly off balance because she's working on stabilizing this hip and keeping her core connected. So you start to move this foot in towards me, maybe almost till it's in line, but you wanna find a little spot that's just like a little wobbly. You can barely kind of balance there. Good. So too much will be too wobbly, it's no good. Too easy and you'll just cruise through it. hold your lightest kettlebell upside down, and she's gonna do a halo. So she's gonna draw a big circle with the kettlebell going around. Good, and as you can see, she has to go slow because she's in that slightly narrow stance, and you're gonna do that 8 times. This glute is tight, ribs are down, and you'll feel your torso will have to be turned on to make sure there's no wiggling. Keep going, Lori, that looks good. I like to think of having all my load on this knee and really trying to get long on that hip. Good, so once you've done 8 and you switch sides, just make sure that you also go in the other direction. That's 8? I'll take it, we don't have to do the other side. Perfect. Okay, what you're gonna do is do 2 sets of each, 8 per side, and then you're gonna finish with a stretch. Lori's gonna get into a pigeon stretch. Okay, so with the pigeon stretch, it's important to be a nice straight line through your torso, which she is. She's not sagging to make it feel like she's getting further. And then you're gonna just hold this for 45 to 60 seconds. The way I like to do it is if you just come up to the top, put your hands behind your back. So this will take some control as well. So she's gonna have to support herself on this glute, dig this knee in, and then lower herself down. You'll feel a total difference if you do it this way. So you only get to the range that you can control and stabilize in. So she's not collapsed, she has that glute on and she's stretching it at the same time. So really deep breaths. She's gonna rest there for 40 seconds, 45 to 60 seconds, and then she'll switch sides. That's good, Lori. The last thing with this is just to make sure you don't feel any parting in your knee or any pain in the outside of your knee. If you do, just come out of the stretch a bit. You might have to elevate that knee as well. Or if I were doing a pigeon this way, I'd bring my foot a little bit closer to me. So that's it for today. Stick to it, and I'll see you next time.